had some really strange things happening lately that I want to just put on the video and share. So let's go back a long time. We're just going to go back a long time. I don't know. Let's not even go back that far. Let's go back to when I had my son Bradley. Well, I guess I do have to go back a little further than that. So when I had my son Mac, before I had him, I was told by my guides that I was going to have to treat him like a butterfly and let him go. So this was something that I really had to just expect. Sorry, this camera doesn't hold very steady. It just kind of does its thing. So I'm sorry if I'm jostling about. It's not mounted to anything but the windshield. So I thought, okay, so I have to have him, and then eventually I'm going to have to let him go and do his thing, and I've always known that. So then I have my son Bradley. And when I had him, I had this overwhelming feeling, and I looked at him and I said, "You're my little alien." I said, "You've come to make the world a better place." And I knew it. I knew when I had him, I said, "You're my little alien." And I've always called him that. When he was little, I called him that more. But he remembers me calling him my little alien to make the world a better place. He was just born, that was 17 years ago. And this was knowledge to me. So let's fast forward with all of what we've got going on, okay? People, the big joke is millennials, and millennials, don't move out of their parents' basements, and I know a few who, work their tails off, but this is what's happening here. About, I think 10 years ago, I had a friend over, and she's into trances and meditation. So she said, "Here, let's take you and put you into this meditative state and see where you go with it." So I did what I do, and I can remote view. So she puts me into this meditative state, and I'm taken completely out of our galaxy, and I am taken into a whole different galaxy. All I remember is hues of pink, atmospheric pink, and like what you would see if you were to go into a nebula. All of the different hues of the rainbow colors, and lots of pink though. And in front of me here, from where I was, there was a planet that was, again, atmospheric. It felt pink, the colors of it. And then 3 beings came to me. One that was lit up glowing. One that was gray, like a gray that you would see or hear in like cliche what an alien looks like. And then out from behind this pink planet came this green alien. And he still, like to this day, that's what I see, is him hovering there in front of me. And he talked about wanting the earth, and talked about how I'm sorry, my children are in the back seat fighting like children do, so I'm sorry you have to listen to that. So he was talking about how they wanted the earth, like they wanted to take off over the earth, but these other 2 energies were very much protective and guiding is the way to put it. And then it was exhausting. I think I was in a meditative state for about 45 minutes, just traveling with these around these different galaxies. And then they said something about like Theodorian, and it's never made any sense to me, but they did talk about that. So when I was younger, I actually saw an aircraft, a UFO, with my very own eyes, and so I've never discounted the fact that I know that they're there. recently, they've, especially this little green dude, making the presence known, making their presence, letting me know that they're there. And there was something else. I don't even remember what it was. I don't even remember what it was at this point. But I was just making a realization of what I was seeing in the different generations that I want to point out. So my children, my first 3 children are 7 years apart. So generational changes in behavior are about 7 years difference is when you will see. So look at it this way, and this is just something to throw at you that's been shown to me in a different perspective. You've got the first generation. They said, okay, you know what? Let's throw down, and I'm talking about my older son. Let's throw this generation down. Let's create a generation that, with the way the world is going, that cares nothing about money. Let's create this generation to just go down and just want to live and just to be, and they don't care about money. Let's see what that does. Let's put that in the testing ground of this earth. So they throw these kids down that are millennials, and they come down and they don't care about money. They don't care about jobs. They don't care about any of it, but they need it. They need it because it's earth. And so they become a group of people who don't want to work, who have no desire for anything, to own anything. They don't want to own anything. They don't want to commit to anything. This is just how this generation has been sent down. But they need money, so they end up living in parents' basements and foraging, pretty much. It's a kind of a joke because, and I can say it because I have my son Mac, who it's taken him a long time to desire to do anything. So then they're like, well, shit, now that's screwed up. So that's not working very well. Look at everything's closing and things are different. Like, people don't want to get married. They're talking about not getting married. They're having trouble committing to things. The desire is lacking there. Okay, so the next generation we're going to send down, we're going to make it so that they really care. They're going to have to clean up a little bit from this other generation. And we want them to care a lot. We want them to love, and we want them to make a difference. They're going to have to go down there and fix a few things. Hence, Bradley's generation. He's 17. He comes down when he's a baby, and I knew it. I'm like, I know there's something about this kid. So they send them down. This whole generation knows in their soul that they're here to make a big difference. They're here to clean up. They're here to change things, better things, improve things, develop things, invent things, keep the peace. Everything is balanced and level and okay, and nobody's fighting, and all of these kids, bam, high anxiety levels through the roof. This incredible development of teen suicides, and it's because these groups of kids who are now at the high school level subconsciously are dealing with this spiritual burden of making a massive difference here on earth. They don't know it, they're just doing it, and some of them don't recognize that this is part of their purpose, and that they have to learn how to bear this burden for a purpose, for a reason. So they're like, okay, well, this is great. We got them all to care, and we got them all focused, and we got this mentality that they know they have to keep the peace and make differences. But now they're some of them, are just stressed out, and everybody's full of anxiety, and anxiety is a real thing, and it's debilitating. So let's throw in another generation here. We're going to have to bring in a group that is really hard-nosed, and bring in a group that is more regimented, very focused, a little less forgiving. Bam, there comes the generation of my son Benjamin. Old 90-year-old war general, reborn too soon, pissed off at the world, and is very strict, not only with himself, but with everyone around him. And less forgiving about lenience, just not lenient. And everything is done a certain way. So then, it's almost like they're like, okay, crap, we need a little more love in the picture. So then they throw in, within the next few years, children who are animal lovers and who are soft-hearted, sensitive, caring. And it's like, I'm realizing, okay, so Benjamin is 2010. So around that age, you got 7 years approximately where, give or take in either direction, where kids are being born that are like the general aspect. So then you've got these other kids that have been like tossed in, like they're trying to make the world a better place. And it hit me that once they figure out that perfect formula of personality and characteristics and traits, once they figure out a person's soul who is loving, genuine, and generous, and kind, and giving, and thorough, and determined, and all of these things, once they get that person and they figure out the formula of what it's going to take to make someone who is innovative and inventive, yet hardy enough to deal with the stresses of sustainability, once they find that person and those characteristics, is that the point where they've reached perfection in humans? And what I had happen was that question had come to mind, and then I realized they have someplace else that they already have in mind, but they need the right people to be on it. They need the right behaviors, that perfect behavior that will carry us through and carry us over to where humans will then be able to live forever in a planet that they will not destroy, because they not only care about the animals, they care about the people, they're sustainable, they're giving and generous and a whole, not separated and divisive and warlike. So, when you have a child around you who is trying to make sense of a situation or bring optimism or happiness or resolution or reasoning to some situation, stop, shut your big fat adult mouth and listen to them. Because they're a lot smarter than you when it comes to where this world is supposed to go. And through a child's eyes, we will see a lot of the solutions that we need. So simply just, take all that I've said with a grain of salt. But it is not something that I take lightly, because I've lived it, I've seen it, I've felt it and experienced it. But next time a child says something out of the ordinary and positive against what you might be feeling or thinking, just shut up and listen to them and trust them instead of yelling at them or telling them to be quiet or to stay out of it, because we really are trying to attain a perfection. Have a good day. Bye.